Hey guys, Sam back with you here. I had a member interested in a coin I was not familiar with, which is kind of an interesting project. It's Neblio. I'd never seen it before, but it's interesting. So it's only been around for 6 months. We're already at over 50% here. We're at 55 on the CoinGecko scale. It's kind of interesting. Market cap of 320 million. So it looks like it's a strong project. So look, can we trade it? So we're not going to have a lot of data to work with. We can see here that it's primarily traded against Bitcoin, and almost all of it is on Binance. So let's go over here. So I've got it on Binance. You can see, of course, not a lot to work with. So we've had a pretty good pump, and then the inevitable retrace that came after that. And it looks like we might be trying to carve out a new move higher here. It's maybe too soon to say. We can definitely get a 5-wave structure here, and then this is, you can make the case you've got a 3-wave structure here. It's mighty deep, but we can look here. So all I've done here is just wicked off the low. Here's our 1. We get a 2 up here. There's definitely subdivision in here, and it gets a little tricky here because of the range of the 3. So if you're looking here, working from the 2 low to the 3 high, all right, we get between the 38 and the 50, which is where you'd anticipate it. But we don't get much more than a double top up here. A little bit. We're short of this target before we roll over. So we can definitely qualify this as a 1-wave. So on the larger degree, we'd be trading it this way. So we've got a 1, 2, trying to get a 3, 4, 5 in. Let me change the degree, and we'll go up. Minuet with a different color. Okay, so that's not unreasonable. More typically what we see is after the pump, then they give all of it back, but we're not seeing that here. So potentially signs of strength here. So if I just work off of my absolute low to my wave 1 high, right, 786 to the tick, that gets my attention. So some technical trading. We know a wave 2, typically between the 50 and the 786, and we get the 786 to the tick there. So, so that sparks some interest. So some technical trading. This is not the prettiest ABC, but it's there. We can make the case that there's your A wave right to the Vegas wave. There's your B wave. We come down for the C to give us some confluence, at least give us pattern to complete that second there. So, if that's what we're seeing here, and this is going to be our 2, well, now we're looking, we've got some big targets up here. So if I, try and put that in context of where we could be going, there's certainly juicy targets up here. So that's the negative 618. If I do it from an Elliott perspective of relations from waves, projected from waves, the length of the 1 projected from the 2, so here would be my 1618. There's the 1618 175 box. That's high probability zone for our 3rd, right up there with the negative 100. So that's a juicy target up there. So if I then look at that and go, okay, well, I like this technical pivot here. So worth getting a look at the median lines. Now, interestingly, so that's the modified shift. We've already come and hit the center line. If I go to original recipe, we go over here. Now we look and say, could it be there? Sure, definitely. I'd look here from our 2, because we've got just kind of junk over here. There's not a really clean pivot to work from. Once we get up to a 1 and we put in the 2, I'd be more likely to draw it from the 2 there. Let me get this cleaned up here a little bit, so we'll get right on our pivot there. So there we get that. That's clean. We know this is potentially our 1. So now as I pull back out, that gets my attention. That's 100% the length of the 1, right, within a few ticks of the negative 23.6, the first algo target. So if this is going to play, if we're going to get a corner pocket trade, there's no reason to think that we wouldn't. We've got 80% odds, given that technical pivot there, 80% odds of getting to the median line. That's why you want to trade with pitchforks, because you don't get those odds anywhere else in the market. So given that as potentially our 2 low, we've got a really, really steep target up here. So given that as a potential target for our third, well, we're going to subdivide along the way. So it looks like we might be trying to carve out some sort of a diagonal here to try and get a one wave in. It doesn't appear to be in yet. And you know, I'm on the 60-minute here. Let me get right on that corner. 1, 2. You know, it doesn't look like we've gotten there yet to give us a 3. So if I qualify that, so if I'm looking at this as potentially a 1, I'd be pulling from the 2. Yeah, we're just a little shy there. So too soon to call this an impulsive structure or even a diagonal. Now remember, the third doesn't have to be the longest. It just can't be the shortest. So right now it's shorter than what would appear to be the one wave off of this reaction here. You know, so could we have 1, 2, 1, 2? It's possible, but we could also very easily, this is always the risk. You could have an ABC here, and we'd be going back down again. So too soon to call that yet. What we need to see is one more push up here to give us a 5-wave structure. So then we can be a little more confident. We get that, then of course we got to qualify because we got to make sure that the third is not the shortest. So you look at that and you say, well, if we get the push up to another high here, do we have 1, 2, 1, 2? Or do we get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with so the fifth will have to be shorter than the third for that to stay as a potential wave 1, and clearly we'd have a diagonal. So it's again, this is a trade that's in the oven. It's not quite ready yet, but the potential is there. Given if I pull this back out, given where we might be headed, this is certainly one to be paying attention to because we've got great upside targets. And again, the fact that we're at 55 on the CoinGecko scale when it's only been around for 6 months, it's a strong sign. So it could be a real comer. So given that, this would be one I'd have on my watch list. I want to see better clarity here as to what I've got yet, because I don't have any confidence yet that I've got a good clean 1. So the trade for me looking there would be to get confirmation that I've got a 1 and then look for the 2. So if we get that little push up here to give us another leg on this, and we get up to let's say we go here. It would be the pushback into that lower parallel that would get interesting to me. So push back here to the lower parallel, then looking for a play off of that up to maybe we get the median line here. Remember, that's an important number for us. That would be kind of an interesting confluence. Remember, I'm hypothetical here. We don't know where that 1 is going to top. But if we come back down here, catch the lower parallel, we've got some interesting confluence up here. We've got the 100% the length of the 1, the negative 23.6 algo target from this pivot, and then we'd have the negative 100 from this pivot, assuming again, and I'm just eyeballing here as to where that one wave high would be, but I've also got my push, my inevitable, my 80% play that I'm trying to work. Remember, it's 80%. That means that 20% of the time it's not going to get there. But from this pivot, as long as we stay within this, I've still got 80% odds of getting there. So I like the look of it, but there's no trade here just yet. So one for the watch list. Okay, guys.